Okay. Hi, everybody. I'm Mike Preston. I work at tech marketing here at Rubrik. Been here for just under a year. It's been a wild and fun ride. Prior to that, I worked in the partner space, deploying Linux-based and open source solutions. Ripped out a lot of NT4 servers in my day and threw them in closets. And after that, I spent just over a decade in the customer space. So it was a long stint. It was at the same company, 10 years in the same role. And probably my highlight from that customer sort of aspect was getting to sit where you guys are all sitting a handful of times. So it's kind of neat to come full circle and present at a tech field day. Super exciting and not at all intimidating. So, okay. So Matt took us through sort of some of the tooling integrations, plugins that we have on Rubrik build, and I'm going to run through a few of the use cases that we have. They're much more fun. I'm going to start with, our templates to deploy cloud resources. So I'm going to specifically focus in on Cloud Out. That's our archiving capability. That's how we basically, within Rubrik, it's very easy to set up. You set up a target, you drag a slider, and you say, okay, I want to keep 14 days on premise. After that, I'm going to start migrating up to the cloud. Right? So I said it's very easy to set up within Rubrik. Within AWS, there's a little bit of work, nothing hard. You set up an IAM user, you set up an S3 bucket, and then apply some policy templates on top of that. Not hard work, but work, for a customer that's sort of new to cloud or not very cloud savvy. They may have a little trouble with that. And when you make a mistake, applying policy templates, you really don't want to give access to anything that you don't have to. It could be a costly mistake when it's in the cloud. So what we've done is basically build a CloudFormation template to bundle all that up so they could just go and simply deploy that. And I'm going to walk through that process. Actually, the first thing I'm going to do is go to the Quick Start Guide and grab the actual URL to the CloudFormation template. Command-C. So I'm going to go in here and I'm just going to create a new stack. I'm going to specify the URL where our template exists. And we're going to give this a name. 1235. I've ran through this so many times that I may have some buckets laying around that So I'm just going to append CFD demo. So basically, what we've done is taken, the 4 pages out of our user guide, which are titled How to Prepare AWS for S3 for an archive location, and bundled it into those 6 parameters. I'm going to click Next. I'm not going to tag anything. Then clicks Next. Acknowledge that we're going to pay AWS for this, and it's going to create some stuff. And we're just going to let that go. While that's running, because it does take a little bit, for the Azure folks, because I know there's some Microsoft folks in here as well, we also have an ARM template. Same sort of deal. We can actually run through that. I'll go and grab the actual raw code for the ARM template.
Can we have a look at it before you run it? I mean, I'm sure you can run it.
Yep.
Maybe if you're not familiar with the Mac, Command Plus would make that a little easier for me to see from here. Beautiful, thank you. Command minus is the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah, so essentially we are defining, some parameters, specifying what parameters are allowed in terms of the redundancy options, the hot and cool options. The location is defaulting to the resource group location that you choose. And then basically it's just your standard sort of template to create the actual storage account and then go and create the blob container within it. So we can run through and set these variables up if we wanted to, but again, yeah, you're right. It's the same sort of deal basically as what we do in AWS. You know, we boil down all that setup into these parameters. When we're done, you know, and hopefully our demo's still going here. Essentially, I have one completed here. When you're done, you get all the outputs, including that, you know, secret key. This isn't hoarded, right? But you get basically all the outputs you need to go within Rubrik and add that as an archive location. So you're off to the races there.
Quick one for you. Have you thought about building an Azure DevOps extension?
I'm sorry, in Azure?
Azure DevOps. So what you just did there with putting templates and stuff together. What about having an extension from in the marketplace, a Rubrik one for Azure DevOps, so that I can add it to my pipeline if I'm building something? I can have add it in. That would be a great thing to see.
Yeah, and that's
like that.
you know, that's basically what basically what build is all about, is to get basically ideas like that from customers and from, you know, not even non-customers as to what they're looking for. But absolutely, yeah.
Can I just double check? Is that key used for anything else you've allowed access to? Because this is being broadcast live. You just put your...
Yeah, I know. Yeah. That bucket's actually gone.
Okay.
So, yeah. Yeah. I didn't go to the one that was actually creating, so. So really that's, you know, the cloud templates. There's not a lot to them, but what it does do is allow our customers, you know, an easy way to prepare their environments, a repeatable way if they're making more, like a lot of archive locations, things like that. So the next thing I want to show you guys within build is Roxie. So we talked a little bit about Roxie and how she's our build mascot. But Roxie's actually, you know, she's a lot of things to a lot of people, but officially, you know, she is basically an intelligent personal assistant. So she's the spawn of, I guess, a hackathon a couple of years ago here at Rubrik by a fellow named Manjanit. Thanks, Nelly. And basically, she's built up within AWS using Lex and Lambda. So essentially, we have intents in Lex. We ask her questions. She goes to Lambda, calls some API functions. You know, that gets returned into text. We also have a Poshbot version of Roxie too. So it's she's getting a lot of play now. She's been reborn.
I can't resist, and I'm sorry. Is she like Clippy's grandchild?
Is she?
Is she Clippy's grandchild?
More like Clippy's hip
You know, I don't
teenage
know.
granddaughter
There you go.
with a rebellious streak.
With a rebellious streak, yes.
Yeah, you know.
We get a lot of questions as to what she actually is. You know, she kind of looks like a piece of toast with pink hair, but. So anyways, I'm going to
An interesting persona.
Goober.
Yeah.
Let me just kind of show you Roxie quick and how she works. So basically up within Lex, we have a bunch of intents. So you can see this one here is to get the status of the cluster. So we punch in a lot of different ways to ask for that. And these intents are fulfilled basically by Lambda functions. So we can see this one just calls the get cluster status. So within Lambda, you know, we can walk through this code quickly. Is that big enough for y'all? We essentially have some OS environments, an auth token, and a cluster IP, so we know what we're going to connect to, and we're authorized to actually do it. And then, you know, our API endpoint that we want to connect to, and then we just go through the code and basically send an API request, get the response back, take a look at what the data is, you know, and if everything's okay, you know, we say your cluster's doing awesome. Otherwise, you know, in true Canadian passion, someone said I haven't apologized yet. Well, here it is. I'm sorry. All nodes in the cluster are not okay. Something's wrong. So we can actually run this within Lex and send some commands. So it's pretty cool, right? She, you know, we ask her how it's going. She comes back, says it's doing awesome. We can say things like how many nodes. and she'll come back and say we have 4 nodes. She doesn't just do GET requests, so we can actually, ask her to live mount a VM as well. And she'll ask what VM, obviously. So we just need to pass her that information. And she'll go, and she's probably crunching right now, going and getting the ID for that VM, the actual snapshot IDs for that VM, and then she'll come back and say, what, that snapshot's been live mounted. So it happens fairly quick. If I go look at that VM, we can see it's already there, and it's just in the process of getting powered on now. So that's neat, like interacting within the Lex console. You can also publish the bot and do things like we have Slack integration here at Rubrik, where we can talk to Roxie to get the status of what's going on within our lab and everything else. But I just don't think text is cool enough for Cloud Field Day, so I have a special build of Roxie just for you guys today, using Alexa. So there's a wrapper function around this, and hopefully you guys can hear this. So we built a wrapper function around it, and I got to get my list of questions and talk super slow to Alexa, because she does not like my Canadian accent sometime. But all right. Ask Roxie to introduce herself.
Hello, Cloud Field Day. I'm Roxie, Rubrik's intelligent personal assistant. I'm able to do a number of things, like answer questions around your Rubrik deployment. Unfortunately, though, I can't get you CCIE coffee. Only Tom Hollingsworth has that honor.
So that's kind of rude. Tom's not even here to defend himself there. But you guys got the Phil's coffee, though, so. All right. Ask Roxie to get the status of my cluster.
Your cluster is doing awesome. Almost as awesome as Stephen Fosket's peanut brittle.